Independent Showcase Season 2, Episode 3. Back again with the Independent Showcase. We love these. We love the series. It's been really good so far since we've had it on the channel. Today, I'm joined by another exciting wrestler from the UK. It is Mr. Jason Joshua. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've just rushed back from the gym, so I'm still a bit. Luckily, this isn't in person. This would be very stinky for you.
Don't worry. Listen, I'm just saying before we all fail. I go obviously. Our championship is with Ignite Wrestle Pro, and we're up with the guys when they're getting changed and undressed and stuff like that. So it's all we're used to that. We're used to that certainly on here. But no, thanks so much for coming on. It's really good. It's good to meet. Like we get out to a lot of shows. We don't always get out to flying up to the country as much as we could do. So it's really great to meet you. So, as in not in person, as you rightfully said, but for our camera. But for those of people that say don't know Jason Joshua, the wrestler, tell us about you.
Oh God. I don't know where to start. I've been wrestling for 8 years. I'm based out of Leicester. Um, I wrestled Big Daddy Unicorn, Jason Joshua. Uh, I'd say my mostly focuses around power.
Yep.
I love a good double Samoan military press.
A Samoan
Um,
military press. What's the difference?
So Simone is straight on the and I can get two people military press, get them right above my head. Um, I like strongman training,
Mhm.
like being strong, going to the gym. So I've moved it into my wrestling. When I first started, I tried to be sort of flippier,
Mm.
but it was never my style. And then sort of leaned into my size a bit more. So
That's interesting because, like, I know there's a woman wrestler called by the name of Artemis. You may have seen her on your travels. She does Strong Woman. She's a good friend of the channel. And she tries to incorporate that into her wrestling. So when you say you mentioned about the sort of flippy stuff, and then you've got into that, the transition, is it something that you can change quite quickly, or is there kind of like a maybe like, oh, if I stop doing this and then maybe use the power game, maybe even sort of change a move from like a flippier one into like more of a power move? Is it something that comes quite naturally, or does it take a bit of time?
I think for me, a big part of it was lockdown.
Mm.
Um, so I've always been kind of struggled with my weight. So
Uh-huh.
when I started wrestling, was fairly trim, got bigger,
Yeah.
got smaller, got bigger. And then during lockdown, um, it was very much a lost a load of weight
Yeah.
because all we were allowed to do was walk. But then as lockdown ended, put a load of weight back on, it just got harder to do the stuff. And then because we weren't training, I sort of forgot how to do things. Um, so surprisingly, I used to do like a spiral tap. I used to do springboard moonsaults, and just over time, it's just because of the big break and everything, it got harder to sort of remember how it, and I needed to find somewhere where I was comfortable again.
Mm.
So then, literally, the first show back was sort of like, I'm gonna lean into my power a bit more. And just before I actually got back on shows, just started practicing more sort of lifts and throws rather than throwing myself. I still can throw myself a little bit, like I do inverted cannonballs quite a bit. I love doing a frog splash and stuff.
An inverted
But
cannonball. Tell me that I know what a cannonball is. What's an inverted one?
I go arse first instead of
Gotcha.
head first.
Got it.
Um, so I could still throw myself around a little bit, but it was more of a lockdown made it harder to do stuff.
Yes, of course. Well, it certainly did. That's sure. Before we like you talk about a bit more about now, take me back. Like everyone sort of has that like epiphany moment where they say, "I this was the point where I wanted to be. I know I wanted to become a wrestler. I wanted to be in wrestling." When was that moment for you?
It originally it was when I was 18, um, and it was I wasn't sort of growing out of it. I was like, so maybe if I leaned into it and actually started doing it, and so it might come of it. And then I'll be honest, I completely bailed. I didn't actually start training until I was nearly, no, I was 23. So I put it off for years and years. And then I met TJ Sky at a house party, um, and he invited me down to where he was training at the time. And now I've been doing it for 8 years.
Well, so you've never
Uh,
looked back from that moment. But what did you
oh,
ever?
first training session, I was hooked.
Oh, really? As first training session I ran, I was like, I'm done. I was,
I didn't want it to end. They were like, the session's finished. And I was like, no, can we keep going? It's one of the few things that Um, like I'm one of them kids that I've done football, I've done karate, judo, all this, but it was for like a month, 6 weeks,
yeah.
if that, and I'd be like, I'm bored of it now. And then obviously I'm an adult, which helps, but it's one of them things that's actually kept my attention, and I've been like, I want to keep going at this.
Because obviously, yeah, it's one of those things I said with me. I done it for about a month, and I knew, you can probably just know. You get to that point where you're like, I'm not athletic enough for it. I wasn't. The pain, it does hurt. I don't care what people think and say. It fucking hurts. I know that. But it's weird because for you, you just like you wanted to carry on more. Did it take the trainers by surprise when you done it? Because a lot of people wouldn't want to do it and keep carrying on at the training when it's finished.
Um, I think they were happy with how much I enjoyed it,
Hmm.
uh, but they were kind of like, calm down, it's going to be here next week. It's not going anywhere. Um, it was just, I think I delayed it for so long that actually doing it and being like, oh my God, I can start doing this. It was
Hmm.
just like a click and it went.
That's good. Well, it's good. And listen, it's good that, and it's good that you're still enjoying it 8 years down the line and you're still doing it, which is great. When you're watch, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming at this point that you was watching wrestling growing up. Was there any particular wrestlers that you kind of tried to mold yourself into when you were training?
Um, so what got me into wrestling was Friday night SmackDowns. Me, my little brother, and my dad, uh, after my mum and dad split up, would go to my dad's on the Friday.
Yeah.
It would be SmackDown, Chinese,
Yeah.
and go from there. So it was at the time where it was like Jeff Hardy was getting really big. Um, Brian Kendrick was doing his solo thing. Just sort of Edge being like that massive, massive heel. Undertaker was sort of still
Yeah.
relatively about. So it was that kind of stuff. Um, but then it was expanding into like getting deeper into wrestling and figuring out that WWE wasn't the only stuff. It was seeing Kevin Steen, because he's a bigger lad. I'm a bigger lad. But he could still do some stuff. And if you watch a lot of when I started wrestling, I was basically doing Kevin Owens moveset.
Oh,
Pardon me.
interesting.
The package pile driver, the cannonball, the frog splash, the lot. And I kind of realized that I was basically copying him. So I changed it up, but I'd say he was a massive influence on the style that I wanted to wrestle. And obviously it's changed over the years. But
Hmm.
yeah, he was seeing him do like the ladder wars with Oliguera and just the mad stuff in PWG. It was like a just sort of someone that is built like me.
Yeah, and I mean, to this day, he's still killing it right now. Obviously, in the WWE, not long ago at the, obviously the stuff with Cody, the ladder match, and he's one of those guys. And you're right, we've got a lot of like big guys in terms of height, that and in terms of size, like Will Cruz is a prime example, who is built massively, but is also deceiving in what he does. Kevin Owens is very much like that because his size and he's doing swantons. He's still very quick, but he's got that power game as well, which it can catch people off guard though when you're wrestling people like that.
Yeah. I That's the kind of stuff that I like. Like it's really cool being really good at the one thing.
Mm.
Um, but when it's like Kevin Owens doing the cannonball, the swanton, the moonsault, or the opposite direction when it's like Bandito doing the military press. even though you assume he's a cruiserweight, I love stuff like that, where it's like that pop of power or that pop of speed that's like they shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. It catches people off. But it also is one of those things with the crowd as well, isn't it? Because the crowd are like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That shouldn't be happening. Like he shouldn't be doing that, but that it's great. Do you find it catches them off guard on the independents as well when you was doing things like that?
Yeah. Um, One of the things I'm quite proud of is I do, like we said earlier, I do like the inverted cannonball,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter how many times I've done it, I'll always get someone coming up to me going, "God, I didn't realize you'd be able to move like that," and it makes me quite proud to get that reaction because I would never deem myself as like an athletic person.
Mm.
It's something that I've had to sort of lean into. So that's why people like that I think have influenced me. Because I'm not this, you won't catch me doing like springboard hurricane ranas and mad stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
like to think the odd thing that I can pop out will make people sort of
Makes it
go,
different,
oh,
right?
okay,
People, you
yeah,
got to be different to get noticed in a lot of senses, not just from a character perspective, but from an in-ring. You've got to have that. What I've like, and what we, when I select people to come to from like the championship that we've got on, I always look for that difference. So you may know, one of my former champions was Smashing Mike. He was my first champion, the turnbuckle champion, and one of the things that we wanted to do was give Mike different types of styles to work, something a bit different. So one of those guys was Will Cruz. So it was like Hogan Andre. Mike had to come up from deep, use the power game eventually to, and then we had like the total, not say a total opposite, but a different worker in Eddie Dennis, someone that works a totally different way to Will. And then it was James Ellis, and he worked a totally different way to Eddie and a totally different way to Will. But what you're saying really, and what the point for this is, something different and something that will always someone will come out of that show and go, that Jason Joshua done this amazing. I couldn't believe he done it. And that's also what gets you noticed by people on the scene as well, right? Because you're doing things differently or you're doing things that people are not expecting.
yeah, that's kind of the hope when I do stuff. So let's be honest, all wrestlers want to get noticed.
Yeah.
We want that extra person to be like, that was cool. We want the promoter to notice. We want another wrestler to turn around to another wrestler and go, oh, you did this really cool thing. Like, if people say they don't, they're not telling the truth. We want to get noticed because we want to do this more. So if a fan's telling someone, if another wrestler's telling someone, if a promoter notices that you went on a show and did the unexpected thing, or like the it's not even the thing that no one else can do, but like that unexpected reaction to something where you can say, yeah, like I'm one of the few people that can do that, or like that's unexpected because it helps you just hopefully stand out that little bit more.
Stand out from the crowd. Exactly that. Now, you were talking Friday Night SmackDown, and you mentioned a particular individual who I wanted to bring up, and you were saying that Brian Kendrick was doing his thing. He was the Brian Kendrick. Now, not too long ago, you had the pleasure. I mean, we had him on the show. He was fantastic, great guy. You had the pleasure of sharing the ring of him. You were a tag team partner of his. What was that like? Because now you got it. You go back to your dad's, your Chinese Friday Night SmackDown. There's a guy in the ring, Brian Kendrick. Years later, you're standing in the ring with a guy that you used to watch on telly. How was that moment for you in general?
It was mad. Um, and he he's just a really nice bloke.
Yeah.
Um, and I literally got to tell him before we teamed, like I literally used to watch you on Friday with my dad.
Yeah.
This is really cool. And I got to send a picture of me and Kendrick to my dad and my little brother and go, look who I just got to team with. And then I got to team with him. And it was literally someone that when I first, because I got into wrestling, I'd say I got into wrestling quite late,
Mm,
watching and starting to do it because I didn't start watching it until I was like 11, 12.
yeah.
Um, but it was he was quite a big thing then. So it was like to be able to turn around to him and go, seeing you wrestles what helped me get into wrestling
Mm,
was really cool, and he was really nice about it. And technically got a better record with Brian Kendrick than Paul London does because me and Brian Kendrick are undefeated as a tag team. So
Paul London, you need to come and tag with Jason to make sure that you
sure.
to get that record
Yeah.
get that record yourself to so he can get the record. But was it one of those things also though where when you're on the apron and Kendrick is in the ring, are you learning to? I mean, he may have talked about bits outside the back, but when you're in there and you're in your peripheral vision, yes, you've got to do you got to do the bit to get the crowd going and whatnot. But are you also kind of half watching what he does, watching his facial expressions, watching the way that he moves to try and sort of get bits and pieces into your game from watching him?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think everyone involved was just watching how he did it and how easy he made it look, and the fact that he's been doing this for God knows how long and can still move how he was moving. Like, yeah, he's still doing stuff that he was doing 20 years ago. Like, not a lot of wrestlers can say that
No,
because you change your style as
get
you
older.
go in, and he's still popping off the sliced bread and the calf kicks, and it's insane to watch. And he made it look so easy, and it was cool to be in a ring with him. And like, he's quite a big one for me, and Eric Young's another one that's quite big for me. And
Mm,
I've been on a couple of shows with Eric Young, and he's very similar, makes it look easy, very easy to talk to.
yeah.
They both gave uh, feedback, and it wasn't just the generic stuff. Like, they actually took the time. So I think I've been very lucky around some very cool people to be able to be like, they've seen my stuff, they've actually given me feedback, and it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Those are the guys. I mean, yes, there's some guys in the UK as well that obviously, you do that, but
Yeah.
you have to definitely take advantage of when these guys, if they're on your show, even if they're nothing, even if they're not involved with your match or anything, you just say, look, can you watch my match? They will do it. They absolutely will. The amount of people that done it that asked Eddie Dennis to do it, for example, when he come over and wrestled for our championship, and even the Mike who he was in the ring with was like, I learned so much from just being with him and doing the bits and pieces. So any wrestler out there, I know it sounds stupid in trying to tell you how to suck eggs, but anyone that's got any of those guys on their shows, just make sure that you do take notes and ask those guys to watch it, watch your match, do anything you need to do, because that one bit of advice could be the big difference in anyone's career. That's for sure. But
One
we're
little
gonna,
bit
oh,
could
go
be
on.
how it clicks.
Yeah, there's that
It
one
could just
thing. It
be
could be that one thing, isn't it? It could be one thing. Could just be your facials. It could be your camera work. It could be one little thing could change your career in wrestling, and it can do. There's no doubt about it. But we're going to break away from it. We're going to play a little game. I always play it with some of these wrestlers. Some of them I catch them off guard with some of the questions, and not too hard, but it does get you thinking. So, right, I'm going to change up the questions order just in case you've watched. So, if you could debut on any pay-per-view, what one would it be?
like like a specific one that's happened or just
No, just pay
name.
per view. It doesn't have to be like a Royal Rumble 2013 or anything like just a pay per view. What would it be?
It would be the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
It's my favorite pay-per-view.
it's mine too. Yeah, I love it's the best one. Actually, it's unpredictable. It's one of the ones, unfortunately, I haven't
Yeah.
gone to yet. I'm got to do it. I have to get there. But I'm gonna go to one. It's got to be done. Love the Royal Rumble. It's my favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's it can be so different every year.
yeah,
Like, sometimes it can feel like a bit of a letdown, but then other years it's like absolutely insane and you never really know what's going to happen. Whereas other stuff you can sort of see stuff coming.
yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
still one of them ones that keeps the surprise.
It's one of the only ones now that's still got the mystique. I felt since Undertaker lost it, WrestleMania for me for many, many years was always built around who's the Undertaker facing. Everything else you
Yeah.
can kind of, yeah, he's going to go over. Taker was always the one that had that little bit of mystique because he had never lost. The moment Brock beat him, for me, WrestleMania just lost everything at that point. That's just me. I mean, everyone's different, but personally, when he lost, that was it for me. But yes, a Royal Rumble, good choice. I like that. Um, Wrestling theme music is always the one that gets a lot of people, and it because it changes daily. But if you had to select a top three wrestling, not your own, wrestling theme songs, what three would they be?
Uh, can this be UK?
Yep, absolutely.
Any?
Yep.
Okay, so Joey Scott has a really good entrance theme. It's Backbone, um, which is amazing, and it suits what he does really well. And I hate that I'm praising him. Uh, the other would be Another would be Mick Foley.
Yep. Good one.
The actual Mick Foley theme, the car crash, and then
Yep.
the
Yep.
just because he's my favorite ever. So whenever he turns up and you hear the
Yep.
crash and he comes out. Um, and Jeff Hardy's writing on the wall.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. Is that
The
no more words?
single-
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah. No more words. Yes.
yeah.
God.
When he was doing the singles run, because again, that was the time period where I got into wrestling and he was winning the WWE title and he was
Yes.
massive. And it's just a really good theme.
He beat two of my idols, Triple H and Edge, in that match, I think, to win that time championship, if memory serves me right.
He did.
He did, yeah. Wow, that's actually first time I've ever heard Mick Foley put one on there. That's a really interesting one. I used to like Mankind's.
It's always been the Mick Foley one for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is a really interesting one. Funny enough, Jeff Hardy's one, I think Shane Hook said when we had him, I'm sure it was Shane, it may have been him or Kean Cameron said that. Jeff Hardy's heard quite a bit. Lots of ones are like edges, the obvious like the NWOs and bits and pieces like that. But that's a couple of really interesting ones and that I like. A random question away from wrestling, and it's food related though. And it's always one that Fiona, one of my co-hosts, does in NWA. She always asks, "What's your favorite pizza topping?" So I'm going to ask that for you. What's your favorite topping?
All meat feast.
Meat fist. Good
Yeah,
shout.
if I'm going for a pizza, I'm going for it.
Going for
I'm
it.
gonna
Fun.
I'm gonna feel gross afterwards. Might as well.
Cheat day. And funnily enough, Tate Mayfair's actually tweeted us earlier because at the time of recording, everybody, so this is recording in February, we'd just finished Ignite. And I was talking to Tate yesterday at the show, and I said, "What?" He said, "Oh, you're going to have a cheat day tomorrow." And I went, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And he said, "I'm going to have a pizza." And he put on socials today that he was having his cheat day. And I went, "Is it still pizza?" And he put out that he was having a Kashmiri style butter chicken pizza.
I mean, fair. That sounds nice.
That does, doesn't it? It got me. I was like, that's my favorite Indian butter chicken on a pizza. I might need to try it. I'm going to have to ask him where he got it from. It says irresistible range. I'm not sure who does that, but other pizzas are available from any good outlet. That's for sure. So the last question we mentioned entrance music. No, no, two more questions. Sorry, we've mentioned entrance music. What about the presentation? Because that's massively important in wrestling as well. What's your favorite entrance presentation?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Ah, see, it's got you
Um,
mixed up the music.
it has. I think Triple H.
The game.
Um, because like the mania entrances with like the Terminator or the
Yep.
throne and the gold crown with the
Yep.
golden skull and sort of his mania stuff.
Yeah. Triple H, when Triple H was wrestling at WrestleMania, you knew you was in for a treat
Yeah.
in an entrance music. Well, and obviously from a wrestling point of view, Undertaker's had a different kind. I remember him and Shawn. That was that was my second WrestleMania I went to. Shawn come from heaven. Shawn come
Oh,
down from heaven.
all
Take
white, arms in the air,
yeah, what's it? You
just as
got
he
it.
descended. Yeah.
Undertaker rose up from hell, and then WrestleMania 25 encounter. That was great. But a good choice, Triple H. Loved his
I used
WrestleMania.
the one you've just made me think of is Aleister Black in NXT where they would do the
Ca-
slow lift.
Yes.
Yeah,
And at time of recording, that could be happening very soon again in the
yeah.
WWE. By the sounds of it, Miro also going today as well, which is an interesting one, and potentially Ricky Starks also been released. But again, that would be a
Just
compass.
I've just read about them,
Yeah,
and it would I think it would be all three jumping
Chink,
over.
Chink, it will. I wasn't sure about
Yeah,
Miro. I mean, Malachi and Ricky seem. I mean, Ricky Starks, Cody Rhodes, their relationship there. He's got. I didn't initially think, and we're going off piece, but it doesn't matter. A little bit here that I didn't think that Ricky Starks for me. I didn't think he was suited for WWE. I didn't at first because I mean he's been off and on from AEW for about a year, 18 months. But the more I come to think about it now, and the more Netflix and all the presentation, I think now he's tailor-made for it. I don't know,
Oh
perhaps.
yeah, I think he can. I think he could walk onto the main roster.
Oh, you don't think he'll go NXT? He'll go straight main. You,
I
you
think
think?
he could go to NXT, and I think he would smash it there. But I think he's one of them ones where they could just pop him onto Raw or
Interesting.
SmackDown.
That is interesting. Yeah, he could do. There's no doubt about it. He's got the talent. That's a great shout though. I'm clipping that. If it happens, I'm crediting you. I'm gonna put it up there if it happens. But let's go. So as we move towards the end of this, I had actually one more question. Apologies. So, just say for an example, Jason, you get a call. You got an independent promotion who says, "Right, Jason, we want to give you your fatal four-way match, your dream fan." I think I know some of the names you may put here. So the money's not an option. It doesn't matter about how old they are, if they're still here, if they're not here. You get a fatal four-way at a promotion with three wrestlers of your choosing. They say, "Name them. Who are you going to bring over?"
I think you know that one of them is going to be Foley.
Yep.
Um, I'll be honest, any iteration of him, just Foley,
He can do all
just
three in
he's
one match, though, can't he? He could go under the ring, change, and
yeah, like he's my favorite of all time, without a question. Um, the second would be Eric Young,
ooh, yeah.
uh, because he's always been a favorite. Because literally watching him since like 2008, I think.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm getting old. I'm losing track of time. But
You're
watching him
getting
that entire
old.
time and then meeting him and realizing
Yeah.
that he's such a nice person made him go even higher on the list of like
Mm.
favorite wrestlers. And the third, bit different to them. I'd go for Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb. Wow, I thought you were going to say Jeff Hardy. Jeff Cobb.
Um,
Whoa. Yeah, all right. You could have said Kevin Owens. Could have got another one in there. But
I could, but
Jeff Cobb.
yeah,
Ooh, I haven't seen Jeff Cobb in a while, actually. I need to start watching more Japan. I love Jeff Cobb. I love the way he
I
works.
think he's awesome.
He is. He is really good. I need to watch some more of Jeff Cobb. Right, Jason, we are moving to the end of the show. But before we do, it's a couple of things. Number one, what are your goals and aspirations for 2025? And number two, if you are available for bookings, where can promoters go to book you?
So I've got busier and busier each year, especially since lockdown.
Yep.
Since lockdown ended, I've had like 220 matches,
Wow.
which I'm really proud of, but I want to keep it going. Um, I want to, I get it's not about quantity, it's quality, but
Mm.
I also want to be everywhere that I can be.
Yep.
Um, that's the goal. I just want to be, you grow by doing it,
Yep.
and I've got better by having so many matches, and I want to keep growing. And my big goal this year is to get abroad,
Ooh.
even if it's just once. Because not even in wrestling, in life, I've never left the country. So I feel like it'd be a nice little kick up the bum to actually get me to.
Yep.
Um, and if promoters want to find me, if fans want to find me, it's Jason Joshua Pro on everything, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, TikTok. You can find me on all of it under the same name, and I post a lot.
And book him was the most important thing of all of that. Make
Yes,
sure
book me.
book it on the show. Just before we get you go, Jason, I need to run a few things off. So, big thanks to everyone that attended chapter 4 from Ignite. Back on yesterday at the time of recording. It was the 9th of February when we went out and done Ignite. We have finally got our number one contender for the Turnbuckle Championship. Congratulations to Aluna. You will be getting your title shot from a man who decided that he refused to appear. Let's be honest. Chapter 4, and he took my belt all the way to Pro Wrestling Noah, didn't you, Mark? True. The good news is you'll be back in May, and you'll get you saying before, Mark, that you didn't think it was fair. We were putting you in fatal four ways. You were defending it in tag team matches. Well, you've got yourself your one-on-one match coming up in May at the Last Stand against the Luna for the championship. So you can't now run and hide, Mark, because if you do, you'll be stripped of that championship. So don't you dare even think about running away, Mr. True. But other things going on the last stand. We will have the breakout match again. There'll be another triple threat match. Names to be confirmed by, of course, the Ignite General Manager CJ Carr. Tickets are already 1/3 gone in less than 24 hours. So make sure you get them. Go to 96 Eventbrite, type in the last stand. I will post the link as I always do on the pages. Big thanks to Rob Van Dam for coming on the show. Big thanks to Gang Grill for coming on the show. Coming soon on the show, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner will be joining us, which should be a hell of a lot of fun for me. But Jason, it's been great talking to you. If I hopefully I'll come to a show that you'll be on in 2025. If not, we obviously wish you the very best of luck. We look forward to seeing you on your journey in 2025. More titles, more matches. And you getting abroad is the big thing for Jason Joshua in 2025, everybody. But you have been seeing Jason Joshua on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Follow us at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, Blue Sky, Facebook, TikTok. But we'll be back with some more independent showcase. Until then, everybody, he has been Jason Joshua. I have been your host, Adam Cousins, and you have been watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.